Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Boom! And welcome to the Big Honker Podcast, brought to you by Dive Bomb Industries. I'm Jeff Stanfield with the world famous Andy Shaver.
It's here, boys and girls. SquadFest is right around the corner. Days away.
Yep.
Days away. And on the line with us today, man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Cody Stokes. How are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you for having me once again. It's always exciting. This podcast stuff, it's been going on for what? How many years now?
6 years. 6 years.
6 years.
Yeah.
I think 5 years ago I was a guest, and I just remember how nervous I was. And I think some of that's gone away now. But here I am again. Thank you again for having me.
Nothing to be nervous about.
Yeah, there's no reason to be nervous. Is here. We appreciate you being on here. Great company, growing industry leader, and we got SquadFest, which is probably the biggest waterfowl festival in the country now. I'd say is pretty close to it.
And it's like I was talking about, before we got rolling here. It's kind of the kickoff for waterfowl season. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So what is it? It's coming up here next Friday and Saturday.
Yep.
And for those who don't know,
It'd be this Friday and Saturday.
Well, just the way that it's.
19th and 20th.
Right. There you
go. So this or next, whichever one it may be. But yeah, it's in St. Charles County, just outside of St. Louis, where the warehouse is located. And it's this year we've got over 60 vendors. I think that's double what we had last year.
Whoa.
We've done registration. There's nearly 3,000 people pre-registered. If you haven't done that already, go online and the site and pre-register. You got a chance to win $1,000 gift card. And then, lots of great stuff going on. You guys will be there with Boss, which is great. We're partnering with them this year as our ammunition supplier for all of our content and whatnot. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, we're excited about it.
Yeah, and the weather looks like it's going to be phenomenal this weekend.
So this is year 4. Yep. The last 3 years, I think the average temperature midday may be like 100 to 102. So we had Jeff out here year 1, baking like a toasted cheeser.
Year 1 was hot. Year 2, I about died.
and saw you year 3. I think you stayed at home in the AC, and then you say you're coming this year. You must have looked at the weather. So.
Yeah, right.
Well,
yeah, he looked at the weather before he committed.
In all fairness, Andy and the Boss team went to SquadFest. Me and Dirk and the rest of the Boss people, we went to Little Rock to Delta last year. So this year, it's a different weekend. So the Boss crew's going to be there. Me and Andy are going up there. Tony's going with us and a friend of ours from town. We'll be at SquadFest, and then me and Andy and the wives, Michelle and Jesse, are going to go to Delta the next weekend. So we're doing both of them this weekend. I enjoy SquadFest so much every year. It's really good. It's one of the more laid-back events that we go to.
Yeah.
It's such a relaxed atmosphere, and I'm glad it's 81 degrees. And I'll tell you why. I'm happy for those dogs having to walk on that hot concrete. It won't be bad for them at all.
Bad for them. And then the dogs won, and last year we had employees passing out. So we had 2 guys get carried away. Aaron and Tommy here got whisked away to the hospital and got some IVs or whatnot, and then they came back and there they were. So we had Secret Santa this year, and for Aaron, our operations manager, who's rough and tough and in charge of all the guys in the shop, we made him a T-shirt with his face on it when he passed out, and it said. We took a SquadFest shirt and said, memories from passing out at SquadFest. So we got that in front of the whole company. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, we talked to Asher, and you guys have kind of redesigned, retooled the schedule just a little bit, is what he was telling us.
Yeah, we're starting a little later on Friday. So we start at noon on Friday, and I think we run till dark or so. And then Saturday will be early AM pretty much for the whole day. We're not doing live music this year. After I think a whole day's worth of being out in the sun, everyone was just exhausted, especially the vendors. they just want to head back in, hit the bar or the hotel. But the big events we really have at the show, calling contest. It's a high payout calling contest, so some big names that are entered. Great calling. We've got youth all the way up through like open for duck and goose. And then another big event is the dog combine. So we did I think it was a 3-event dog combine, a retrieve, a swimming retrieve, and then a long distance jump. And that's turned out to be like the showcase event of SquadFest. So we have a long distance jump in the pond there, and all the spectators line up on the edge of the pond. And that's really kind of the hit. So we've expanded that. There's a lot of entrants this year. We've got local news channels coming out that are going to televise and broadcast this thing for like morning shows and things like that. And then in addition to that, vendors, again, 60 vendors, big waterfowl community there, talk hunting, shop, do what you want, and then food and drink vendors. So we have beer, we have mixed drinks, wine, and then several different food vendors. So come out, eat, drink, shop, talk waterfowl, watch dogs, and see calling, and it's all free.
That was crazy last year. The like you said, the amount of people that were watching the dogs was like everybody was there when the dogs were running.
Everyone loves dogs.
Yeah, everybody does.
They're
way better than people.
Can you imagine the non-hunter that has nothing to do with hunting, watching on news and watching all this stuff with the dogs and the guns and the decoys? And they can you imagine what they think? Like them people are crazy.
I think you're probably right. But you know what? I think the dog, we did some face painting for the youth, but the kids love the dog thing too.
Yes.
Dude, we're seeing more and more children or youth show up at this event, which is great. So it's really become a family friendly deal.
We need more family friendly things in the hunting business. Whatever it is, I've said it 1,000 times. People ripped on Phil Robertson because he had all these Duck Dynasty people showing up all these boat ramps everywhere. But Phil Robertson got kids interested in duck hunting. And that was a great thing, and we need more of that.
Yep. I just remember watching him grab a mallard, flip it upside down, and get the peanut out of its throat and then eat it.
Yes.
That's what I remember of Phil. But
yes, that's everybody in the industry knows that, but the people that weren't in the industry, he attracted them into it.
Yeah.
I bet you sell a lot of decoys to people that watch Duck Dynasty that never.
You're talking about the TV show attracting people? Yeah,
yes.
I can see.
Yeah.
My favorite is Si.
Oh yeah, everybody loves Uncle. Uncle Si's like the dog. Everybody loves Uncle Si, and everybody loves the dogs.
Yep, it's hilarious.
People like old people and dogs.
Yep.
They're a magnet to these people. So tell me, so I've been seeing a lot. You've got this farm now, and you're playing catch up with all the rain and all that shit. What's that been like?
So I bought a farm north of the warehouse here about 3 years ago, and we've been steadily buying up ground either next to it or nearby and improving it or creating waterfowl habitat. And we did a big chunk last year, 200-acre piece, and we did dirt work and did our own farming, put in levees, infrastructure, the whole kit and caboodle from a flat field that was owned by the same family for over 100 years. And we actually documented the whole process. And we put it on our YouTube channel. It's we call the series Home Turf, and it's Building the 203 is the episode. And it is a very fun process. I love it. I mean, it's like my favorite thing to do now is go out and play around with waterfowl habitat. But the build was great. The success of the hunting location or the pool, I mean, we smacked the ducks in there. There's some hunts that you can see on YouTube that are in that specific location. And the popularity of the video, I think it's at like 50,000, 40,000 some odd views, and which is just great. And I've had countless people reach out to me. That video was great. Whether or not it was truly great, it's really, it's if that's what you're interested in, there's really not much like it on the web, on the internet today. So it's basically that walks you through the entire process of building a duck lake from a flat field. So. But yeah, it's just it's farms that Kings Bend Farms, and some of the different locations have nicknames, and we hunt them with influencers, hunt them with nonprofits. If you guys want to come down and hunt, you're more than welcome, and friends and family. So,
and I mean, it's just every day's another headache, though, basically.
Yeah, the first video was funny. Asher and team were like, this is a great video, but it really doesn't. It shows how perfect everything is, and there's nothing that details the trials and tribulations of being a farmer or duck farmer. And I said, okay, next bad thing that happens, we'll get it on camera. And it wasn't the next morning. We had 3 inches of rain overnight, and about half of that impoundment that I keep talking about, the 203, filled up with water. Called the local camera guy, Posey. I said, come on down. And he said, well, that was quick. And I'm like, yep. So, yeah, we've had a heck of a planting season this year. When we find a window to get plants in the ground or seed in the ground, our window is really tight because we have clay soil, heavy clay. Clay is great for holding water, and historically holding water. And ducks maybe have imprinted there for thousands and thousands of years. But as far as ag goes, the water does not seep through the ground, so we have to put ditches or trenches to get the water off. So it's a tight window to plant, and then if we do get some torrential rain shortly after planting, it's terrible because we get pooling water. As flat as we want the field to be, we have pooling water, which effectively rots or burns up anything that's germinated, and we get big blank burn spots. So then we have to plant 1, 2, 3. I think we've planted places at least 3 times this year. But we've got a good stand. We're doing beans and corn this year in our ag impoundments, and for the most part, everything looks pretty good.
Have y'all had any flooding issues this year on the Missouri?
The Mississippi was the one we are right next to, and it's been right near major flood stage. So major flood stage for us would be 34 feet. I think we crested Monday or Tuesday this week at 32. But the best thing that happened to me, and it's pure luck, is the farm that I bought is actually inside of a levee district, a private levee district. And they've been billing me the last 3 years for if I put water inside the levee district. So when I pump a duck lake, they've charged me $5 an acre. And I've bitched about it, all these guys, this is a racket and the whole thing. And I've stumbled down into the pump station in the house, and it's a pump station, brick house from 1920 or however old it is. It's very old. And they must have diesel engines in there from the Titanic. And it's massive. The pipes must be 10 feet in diameter. But they've made a levee system around the basic, specifically the Ellsbury area, and they pump the water out. And right now, those pumps are running. And if outside of the farm, there's about 1.5 feet, 2 feet of water in the cornfields. I mean, when you're driving through it, you are up over your axle deep. And once you come up over that levee, you look down in at the house, and all of our fields, bone dry. So I went from bitching about $5 an acre to pumping to being like, hey, I want to send these guys some swag and be their friend, tell them how great of a job they're doing. And it's just been a saving grace. So if you're going to buy a duck lake or a farm in the bottoms, I would check and make sure that it is in some sort of levee district, because that's your saving grace.
So
yeah.
I'm sorry. Do $5 an acre, is that an acre foot of water, or just $5 to how much water is that on an acre of land? Is that 3 inches, 6 inches?
Oh no. Well, we flood an average 12 to 15 inches.
And they're just charging you $5 an acre?
$5 per acre. Yep.
That's cheap, Cody. I would give anything to pay $5 an acre to fill up an acre full of water at 12 inches here, I think.
Well, it's not fill up. We're not paying for the water. We're paying them to evacuate the water from inside the levee district.
Okay. What a cool place, though. What an amazing. And that was what was the earliest duck club in that area?
Oh, if you go south to St. Charles County, which is the county south, it's shoulder to shoulder. Some call it the Duck Ghetto, but they have private clubs from the late 1800s, mid 1800s, where guys would drive the railroad, get dropped off, and get picked up in horse and buggy. Whoa. And big old private companies, hinge companies, breweries. You might be able to name the big one here. These guys bought up big pieces of land that were big natural stopovers or pools, and they created duck clubs, and those natural pools are their refuge, and then they flood ag fields around it, and that's what hold the ducks. So they beat the MDC, Missouri Department of Conservation. They beat them. I don't know when that MDC was developed, but they gobbled up all of these natural reservoirs, and MDC actually asks them to do duck counts on private refuges. So it's well over years of history, 150 years of history here.
That is so cool. Have you read any of old Nash Buckingham's books?
I have not.
He's got one called The Shootin'est Gentleman, and he's got something else. I can't remember. One of the books, though, he talks about, I think it's The Shootin'est Gentleman. He talks about he was from Means, and they would vacation up in Wisconsin, up at the big resorts, or Mackinac Island in Michigan. But then in the wintertime, that's what he would do. He would get a train when it was going to get cold, and he would go to a certain place, and they'd drop him off, and be a bunch of other, wealthy men, and they would hunt. But his writing is so good, but it takes you back to those days. And he talks about he had a manservant, and he would row him out to certain places. They didn't have mud motors and shit then, and to find these secret honey holes, and they would shoot a sack of ducks. I don't think there was a lot of limits back in the day either. But What a historic, beautiful place to be a part of.
Yeah, it's pretty cool around here. We go up north. It's Lincoln County is what we're in, and it's pretty steep hills on the hillside. So when you look over on a sunset, you've got these hills and then the sun cascading behind it. It's really pretty cool. So, yeah, this land ag duck development stuff, going out and messing with wetlands, and then the ag piece is literally like my favorite thing to do. Just even get out and drive around on a Ranger or walk the fields and see the crops coming up and throw your dog a bumper. It's my favorite thing to do.
Well, and then I got to imagine, like, when it does pay off in the wintertime, it's even more rewarding because you were on that piece of property all year long.
Yeah. So the big build we did last year was effectively a gamble. It was listed for 7-8 months. No one bid on it. And then a piece that abuts to us to the north sold. And I said, gosh, I think this property value is going to keep going up. I might as well just get this one and we'll develop it and roll the dice. And everyone was like, this is a big pill to swallow. It was 200 acres. It was almost 2 miles, a levee, 2 big wells. We put a little boathouse and stuff on it. It was a lot of infrastructure and a big gamble because the public area around us really does not do that well. And I just think that's a result of probably overpressure. And then there's really, as far as the refuge goes, they do put some corn in it, but the hunting pools are all wetlands. So when they get out of this big refuge, they're usually shell shock between 6 and 12, and we can hunt past 12. So we typically hunt the evenings, and we do pretty well there. So it actually panned out, but it's a gamble, and it's exciting. That's the exciting part is really the gamble.
They shut them down at noon on the refuge.
I actually hunt them. I shut them down at 1. Yeah. Yep, 1 o'clock. So most I think there's a couple public places in Missouri you can hunt full days, but for the most part, it's half an hour before sunrise to 1 p.m. And the ducks will learn. You'll see a lot of guys they'll draw in, they'll go take a nap, they'll go get breakfast, and they'll come set up at 10 o'clock, and they'll wait for the birds to start flying at 10:30, 11. And then lots of times 12 to 1 is your time to kill them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, ducks are very, very smart, and they start realizing the windows that they're getting shot, and they adjust accordingly.
Very adaptive.
Very, very adaptive. Absolutely.
I'm going to kick his ass.
Tony's
him
coming
in.
Ollie, hush. Even with our geese, I noticed that because the last couple of years in January, when we've gotten to full moon, we've done some afternoon hunts. And the guys, they're doing pheasants, or they've got a duck-goose combo. We'll duck hunt in the morning, and we goose hunted them in the afternoon a couple times. And we always slam dunk them in the afternoon. Yeah. Same birds, same full moon, same ones that act like they've seen everything in the world. They're dumb as hell in the afternoon. And it's because nobody ever messes with them in the afternoon, so we switch it up a little bit. Because nobody out here ever hunts geese in the afternoon. Right. We never do. So every once in a while, we'll do it on a full moon cycle in January, and it's worked really well for us when it's happened.
That's great. How's your hunting?
Hunting has been good. I have no complaints. I mean, we've had some good days and some bad days the last couple of years, but for us to go through a drought that we went through the last 2 years, we've been very, very blessed. We've killed a lot of birds. I mean, we've had some bad days. We've had a lot of really, really good hunts. Crane hunting was not very good this year, but duck hunting in January was really good. So it kind of offset each other. This year we're covered with water. We have water everywhere. So we will kill a lot of ducks this year while we're goose hunting. We'll have a lot of field ducks this year, I'm pretty sure. Cool. So we'll go through the year this year when we won't kill any field ducks, and people are like, well, you lied to us in July. Well, on a normal year with as much water as we have, we shoot a lot of ducks. So it should be a good year. We don't kill a lot of mallards anymore, though. I've noticed the last couple of years, we don't see near the mallards we used to see. And I think that's the way a lot of places are that way. A lot of widgeons and a lot of pintails.
A lot of pintails, I would figure. We got a one bird limit on pintails here, and it's the first 3-4 weeks of season. It is the first birds you kill are pintails, and then from that point on, it's a don't shoot, don't shoot, don't shoot. Kind of wild. I mean, I can't really figure out where these numbers are coming from on why we can't shoot pintails, but
see,
these are pretty.
We have an opportunity this year, and we have not heard for sure to go to 3 pintails. We don't know for sure, but the Fed has given Texas the right to go to 3 pintails. I don't really care about going to 3, but I would like to go to 2.
It would be the flyway, not Texas,
or the flyway. But
flyway.
Well, no. Each state I think gets to set their own deals. They've told them in the Central Flyway you can kill 1 or 3, I believe.
1, 2, or 3.
Yes, and I hope we go to 2. But I do not want to go to 3. They moved our spec limits to 5, from 2 to 5, and we're stopping at 3. We're not shooting 5 specs a day. We're shooting 3, and that's it. That's our self-imposed limit.
That's good of you.
Well, I want to do 30 years from now. I want us to still be in business. We kill out all of our stuff the next couple of years. It wouldn't do us any good.
Yeah, fair enough. I'd like to think they know what they're talking about, though. I'd have a hard time personally if they were flying. Stop. But that's just
I mean, it's just you're definitely right. But like we've had a 2 speckle belly limit for the last 4 years, 5 years, or even longer than that.
Now we've had
a 2 spec limit the last
4 years. I think 4 years.
And like I've seen January specs just be almost impossible, and that's with us just shooting 2 a day. So like now you're talking 5.
We haven't had a real winter though either to see if we get the new birds. But you are correct. But we used to get a bunch of dumb specs used to come in January, and they were doing their reverse migration when the days got longer.
Yeah.
And I haven't noticed them dumb specs in January. Have you?
No. No. Like a lot of time in January, I'm like, that son of a bitch, I shot at his cousin in November. So it's like, I don't know, 5. If we did that consistently January, it could be really, really tough. So just stop at 3 and, I mean, you get 10 guys out there, 30 birds, and if you get a couple Canadas and a couple extra bonus snow geese and a handful of ducks, you're bumping 40 birds. Nobody can complain about that.
I agree with you. Well, good of you guys.
Yeah. So I know your backyard's your favorite place to hunt. Everybody's backyard's their favorite place to hunt. But what's number 2 for you?
Alberta, no doubt.
Alberta, hands down?
Hands down. I did Saskatchewan with my buddies for over 10 years. We did the trailer deal from St. Louis all the way up to what we hunted north or south of Saskatoon. We hunted a little town called Outlook is what it was called. And we made some friends there, and we left our trailer. We'd fly up, rent a truck, did the whole thing. And a lot of snows, a lot of ducks, not a lot of dark geese. But Alberta, man, it's eight darks, 8 ducks all day. There's no half day limits. There's no set segmented seasons on them. And I've been going up there with Ranchland. They're an outfitter up there, and I know that's not freelancing, but anymore I'm fairly busy with farm and office and all that stuff. We've been going there for 4 or 5 years, and they have just knocked it out of the park every single time. Rob Reynolds is the guy that owns it. He's about the nicest guy you'll ever meet. Real mild mannered, real easy to get along with. The food, the setup, and just the hunting is absolutely spectacular. So Alberta, and then if you want to know 3, it is as far as experience goes, it is New Zealand. It is scenery. I think I've probably talked about this on this podcast before, but New Zealand, Jeff Irvine, Hunter Morrow, they hosted us. Me, Asher, and Nick Costas 4 or 5 years ago, and it was just an unforgettable trip. They have big honkers there, big honker podcast. They have big honkers there that were Rochester geese that President Roosevelt gave to their prime minister like over 100 years ago, and they got loose, and now they're out of control. So they do like control hunts or whatever you call them, when they round them up and they shoot them from a helicopter, which sounds terrible to me. And I think they could have a pretty big hunting industry if they'd stop doing that stuff and just let Americans come in as tourists and shoot them. You can shoot lead. There's no limit. You can shoot them day or night. They're big geese, but the mountains and the streams, the rivers are gin clear, they call them. Mountains are their fjords and lakes inside of mountains. It's just unbelievable. And the people are cool. So
I wonder how many geese he gave New Zealand, and like now the population has just exploded.
a handful. I think, I don't know, it sounds like if you had 2, then it would have an inbreed issue, wouldn't
yeah,
you?
you'd figure you need like at least a dozen or so.
They also have a lot of mallards there too, right?
Yeah, they have mallards. They're not indigenous as well. I'm assuming they got there along the same lines. So we shot mallards, and then they have Perry, or a paradise duck, and that is an indigenous duck. They got a big white spot on their wings, and they whistle. But that's also a duck you can shoot there, and that's the one you'd want to bring home and get mounted if you went, would be a Perry. And then they got some big black swans. I don't know what those are called. Haven't shot them. And then, man, those guys over there, they are killers. You hear that phrase over here, but they're killers. These guys, they hunt and kill everything. They've got little deer. They got big deer. They got stags. They got the shaggy mountain goats. They blow away anything that moves over there. It's kind of wild. So kind of a different mindset.
I've heard New Zealand's one of the last really cool places left on the earth that's not over commercialized. I have no intentions of going to Australia because everything there can bite you or kill you. If it's the top 10 worst dangerous something, it's in Australia. But I would love to go to New Zealand. And Jeff's a cool dude.
Spider, snakes, and sharks.
Yeah,
man. Those are not.
I'm out right now. It's like going to South Padre Island in Texas. They got sharks biting everybody down there now.
No. Not for me. I can't. They spook me out. Like fishing for them, but I don't like swimming.
You fish for sharks?
Yeah, I used to go to Florida, and I read in a magazine. I was down there fishing. I read in a magazine, and it was how to fish for sharks from the beach. And you take solo cups, you fill them up with concrete, you put little eyelets in them. And then you rig up a steel leader with a larger piece. They call it, it's a big piece of mono, and it's for tail whip, or a shark essentially wrapping himself up in your line. So big piece of mono to a barrel swivel to a piece of steel, single strand steel, to like a 10-aught, 12-aught circle hook. And then you put a big piece of bait on it, and then you drop like a 20-pound piece of mono off of the bottom of the hook, and you tie that to the concrete solo cup. So you paddle all this out on a kayak or a stand-up paddleboard, and you drop it in. And
I'm thinking about falling in.
You wait. Yeah, no joke. It's a little spooky. But you wait on the bank where you turn your clicker on and free spool, and you'll be sitting there drinking a beer, relaxing. All of a sudden you hear click and buzz, and you engage, and then you're fighting shark. And it's the wild thing about it is this is a public beach. There's a little bit of weirdness to it because you're dropping a big piece of bloody bait out where people are kind of swimming by. Try not to do it near people, or you try to do it far enough out where you're not. But when you got this fish on, I mean, you're talking like 50, 60, 80 pound shark, and the whole beach is crowded around you, And by the time you get it to the beach, I got pictures of this. You got 50, 80 people there. Half of them are put it back in the water, asshole. And the other half, badass. Let me get a picture. Holy shit, And you push it back in the water. You don't kill it or anything, and everyone disperses. But it's a wild scene.
What's the biggest shark that you pulled up?
Sand shark or black tip. You catch a lot of black tips down there. I don't know. I got pictures of them. I didn't weigh them, but maybe 6 feet long, 7 feet long.
How long are you fighting?
Something like. Oh, an hour.
Oh, hell no. Have you seen?
Fun leaves the building after 15 minutes.
Did you see the video of the guy that caught or there was let's say an 8-foot thrasher shark or something, one of the skinnier ones with the big tail and shit, and it comes up to the beach, and I don't know if someone caught it, and he's gonna walk it into the water, and it's between these two docks.
Yeah.
And did you see that video?
I hope it's fake.
It's got to be a fake, surely to God. The guy gets it, and all of a sudden that shark flips with him, and he goes underwater, and you never seen it again.
Never see him again.
You never see him again. So I don't know if it's a true video or fake, but I watched the whole thing. I thought, first of all, your dumbass shouldn't have been doing that. Once you get him into where he can swim on his own, let him go. So
yeah, he walked the shark into like waist deep water, or even more
and
than that.
Never in?
Huh?
And he's just gone.
Yeah, I'll send you the video.
He wraps around, and the guy goes underwater, and people scream, and that's the end of it.
It's going to be on Instagram because I sent it to a bunch of my friends, and I was like, surely to God, this video is fake.
Has to be.
But like, whenever the guy he's dicking with this shark, like closer to land, like he's on the shore, and like it looks like a real shark to me. So I don't know. I'll send you the video, and you can make heads or tails of it.
You did see that. It wasn't a fishing event, but you saw that guy in like Egypt or something get attacked by the tiger
I
shark.
did see that.
Like screaming dad, help for his dad in Russian or whatever he was. It's like brutal.
Yeah.
And they found half of him in the shark. That's just unbelievable.
I got the weirdest story ever on a shark attack. I don't know if it's a shark or what. A buddy of mine and his wife were big scuba divers, and they were at Cozumel, and they would go diving at nighttime, and they would go in a big group, and they'd have these lights on, and they're all underwater. And he said they're swimming around, and all of a sudden this light goes zipping by real fast, goes to the deep water. They come back up, and his wife's missing. They've never seen his wife again.
My God.
And something grabbed her, and they don't know what it was. But so when we were snorkeling off the coast of Cozumel in that 1,000-foot water, that's all I could think about was his wife. I thought, hell no to this. So,
hell no.
Sharks don't scare me. Now, I'm not going to go get in water with them intentionally, but if I'm in the water and there's sharks there on the beach, that's what you should expect. Now, I only like.
What? Say that again.
It
makes sense.
If you get in water, if you're in the beach at the ocean, then you should expect it. That's in their backyard. I don't mind being in a water where I can see. I don't like being off the Texas coast where it's dirty and nasty, or northern Florida where you can't see.
I don't think you've ever seen a shark in the water that you were swimming in.
You're probably right, but I've been in the coast off of Florida, and I've been in the water off the Texas coast.
But you've never seen a shark while you were in the water?
No, but I know they're there.
Don't give me that shit.
You know they're there.
I know that they're there, but I'm not going to keep my cool if I'm out drinking in the ocean and a shark swims by.
I would get out of the water, but don't be surprised when you're around water in the ocean.
Don't be surprised.
Don't be shocked if you're in the ocean. What do you expect?
I'm going to be so shocked that I shit my pants on the way back to shore.
When you were in Puerto Rico, there were sharks all around us.
I guarantee you that, but I didn't see any. I'm not going to keep my cool and not be shocked when I see one. I'm going to be shocked as hell. I know rattlesnakes are out when I'm turkey hunting. I'm just as shocked as I am any other time when I see one.
Well, you're around more sharks when you're in the water than you are rattlesnakes turkey hunting. Probably.
I disagree.
Okay.
I think they're everywhere. I think they are. I think they're on every single tree that I tried to sit down at. There's one.
Now, Cody, I fished with a guy last year that talked very highly of you. We hunted with David Wall at St. Lawrence Outfitters.
Yeah.
And we fished with an old boy, and I cannot remember the guy's name that we fished with.
He is Jack Levert.
Yes.
Oh my God, that guy is a character. He is the man. He needs his own fishing show.
He was amazing, and it would be funny. He'd be like, "Okay, I caught a 6-pounder right there today. We're gonna throw right there. That's where he was at this morning." He was a cool dude. I'm telling you, that guy loves fishing.
He loves fishing, loves it. I've got so many videos on my phone. He needs an Instagram account, or he needs his own video, his own something going on, because I was cracking up the entire time. But good old Jack Levert. So yeah, David Waugh, right?
Yeah,
David Waugh. We hunted up there with him, and the hunting was spectacular. The hunting was so good it was over too fast.
Yeah, ours was the same way.
I mean, it was all the geese you could imagine in your face, and we shot 4, I think the limit was, maybe, or 4 or 6. It was over in minutes, and then I'm sitting around and I'm like, "You got good fishing here?" He's like, "We have the St. James River." And I'm like, "I don't even know. I'm from Missouri. I don't know anything about it." He's like, "It's like the best smallmouth fishery in the world." I'm like, "Well, let's go." And he's like, "Well, I can't, but I got Jack Levert who will take you." And I heard everything, to his favorite pasta dish, to his biggest fish ever, to this wife and that wife, and he just talked the whole time, and it was a great time. We caught a ton of smallmouth. So everyone look up Jack Levert. I think he does have an Instagram account. Message him and get him to take you out fishing on the St. James River. It was awesome. Smallmouth, and we were fishing football, had jigs. Anyway, it was cool.
It was a good time, and I'm going to tell you what now, I've eaten at a lot of places. As a fat boy, I appreciate food, and I eat as good there as I ever have. David is a hell of a cook. We had steaks one night that were out of this world, and we had what did we catch? Walleye and smallmouth.
Yeah.
And he had them Parmesan, or not Parmesan, he did a garlic butter on a grill and fried. God, the food was good. He was an excellent guy. I highly recommend St. Lawrence Outfitters.
And he does everything. David does. I mean, he's hunting with you, he's scouting, he's cooking, fished. And he fished with us one afternoon. Those guys, they work their tails off.
But we were done shooting and we were done hunting in 30 minutes, both mornings. It was just bam, 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 bam. It was excellent.
And those guys are cool. I would stay up late. I stayed up late with them every night I was there. Had some vodka, a player, if you know what a player is. It's a Canadian cigarette, fortunately. And had a great time. And they really know their stuff. They've been hunting up there for a long time. They've killed a lot of geese. Some of the bigger players, older brands in the industry, I think, used to film up there with them. And some of the ways they run their product, like their blind system and stuff, I think were very influential to what you see on the market today. And the calling ability up there, all those guys rip on a call, short reed, flute, whatever it may be. And then one of the coolest thing I saw was they had a younger guy there. It was helping out. He was, I think, in high school or even middle school. We had a pile of geese, and I saw these guys fillet geese like fish, and it was the fastest processing I've ever seen in my life. You ever seen that? They cut through the feathers with razor sharp fillet knife, cut down through the feathers, flip it over like a crappie slab, and fillet it off.
I hadn't seen that.
It was unbelievable.
So they don't even dick with opening up the feathers.
Nope, cut right down through the feathers, or part of the feathers, cut right down through it along the breastbone, cut underneath the breast, scooped it out, flipped it over, and then cut it off the skin. Just like you'd fillet a fish.
You're going to try that this year, aren't you, Andy?
I don't think any of my knives are sharp enough to do that. But I mean, you'd save a shitload of time not having to peel that back.
I tried it. I was unsuccessful. But they were
it didn't work for you.
It's probably one of them things you got to learn how to do. Once you learn how to do it, it's probably pretty simple, but getting it down probably is pretty tough. That's as pretty a place as you can hunt too. That's as beautiful country there is. That Thousand Islands area, beautiful.
And then you've got the other side of the river. You've got upstate New York. We hunted 2-3 days in New York. That piece of New York is gorgeous. There's flowing rivers, flowing streams, crystal clear. We were put on a stream. I brought my fly rod. I caught a brown trout in the backyard, and then we were shooting geese with unplugged shotguns, which is honkers with unplugged shotguns for their nuisance season. So that was several days, and then we drove actually across the border, went through Quebec during COVID. It was crazy. If you wanted to sit down at a restaurant, they needed to see your passport and your COVID card. It's like, get a life, guys. And then we did the St. Lawrence with them. It was great. St. James or St. Lawrence. It's St. Lawrence, I think.
St. Lawrence River, beautiful place. And if you go up there, you need to spend a day and go to the Bolt Castle in Alexandria Bay, New York. Highly recommend it. It's one of the most beautiful pieces of architecture in our country, and it's got one hell of a story to it. And to see that Millionaires Row, where all the wealthy, the multi-millionaires back before the Depression, where they all had their houses, and there's a good story of the Titanic is there. That's a great place to go. A lot of history there.
That's the fun part of traveling is seeing all the history. You can feel it whenever you're in these places. Just like your place in Missouri. I mean,
I went to Richmond, Virginia. I have a buddy of mine who's from there, and he moved to St. Louis, was courting this gal, and he was here for 5 years, and we hunted a lot together. We traveled together, and he was on me to come out to Richmond to hunt his place, and I didn't really think much of it. We went out there, and it was unbelievable. It was the history in Richmond is wild, old tobacco farms, and I think a Confederacy, and it was the capital of the Confederate Army, I think, was Richmond, Virginia. But we went there. He had a place on the river. I forget the name of the river, but he had flooded impoundments, corn impoundments on top of a hillside that overlooked it. And then down below, there were all these tidal sloughs. It was basically tidal marsh. So we shot mallards in the evening, and the next day we slept in and we played the tide. We went out and hunted tidal black ducks and teal, and it was unbelievable. I mean, it was really, really cool.
Tidal black ducks and teal.
Yeah.
Yeah, just in the tidal flows.
Yeah.
So I'm a question for you, Cody. You've spent a couple of days in your lifetime over in China, correct? Have you hunted over there ever?
No. I've fished over there. They eat snake. A lot of places they eat snake. I've lopped the head off of a snake before we eat it. They eat live shrimp and some things live, but no, never hunted. You can't own a gun over there, that.
Right, but I figured there's some hunt clubs there has to be some hunting in China of some sort.
Well, to be honest with you, you really don't see much wildlife over there. I think they've
Eating everything.
pretty much literally, they've eaten through everything. I think the only hunting that I've ever heard of over there is wild boar. And I think they've got old Soviet rifles. Some of these old guys have permits with local authorities or the government or whatever it may be to shoot I think they're big wild boar over there. But that's about the only thing I've heard of hunting, because you cannot have a gun. I mean, they'll lock you up and throw away the key, I think, even if you have like ammo or anything like that in your bag. I mean, it's a hardcore communist country.
I think you're spot on though about them eating everything, because those people are very poor over there. I mean, they eat crickets and bugs and rats because they don't have any protein over there. So anything that's going to be alive, that's wild, they're going to shoot and eat as soon as they possibly can.
Yeah, or trap and eat. And really, again, no one over there has guns.
Mm-hmm.
They still have mass stabbings and getting trampled and all that stuff. People will find a way to kill people even without a gun.
Yes,
right?
Evil's evil.
Were you nervous the whole time over there?
No. I started going over there in my early 20s, late teens, and once a year. And then when I got into the business side of things, it's a global supply chain. We love to source everything in the USA, but frankly, it's not as easy as that. You have competition. All the consumers want the best product, the lowest price at the end of the day. So that's the way we source most of our products, is quality process and sourcing, global sourcing and whatnot. But no, never nervous over there. There's been a time or two, late at night with some buddies where you might get yourself in trouble. But for the most part, they don't want to mess with Laowai or white people. The government doesn't. The police don't. It's a headache. It's a hassle. They can't control you. They're worried about any repercussion that might happen, or who you know, or why you're over there. They figure you're over there. You're dressed well. You're eating well. They figure you're over there for a reason, and you probably have some people of influence that are behind you, and they just don't want anything to do with that. So for the most part, it's great. But I have not been since COVID. So it's been like 3 or 4 years. And so we've had COVID, and then we've had, the relations with China post-COVID, and then Trump tariff and all that stuff has just not been what it was prior. So I have not been back. And to be frank, I really don't want to go back. I went to Europe with my wife 2-3 weeks ago, and we had a great time. And it's, edging towards the end of this trip. And I was just thinking to myself, I cannot wait to get home. I love the USA. I love Missouri. I don't want to live anywhere else. It's fun to get out and see it. And in most cases, going abroad, it just makes me appreciate home more.
Yeah. Where all did y'all go in Europe?
We went to London. I caved. I had some drinks at a boxing event here in town, and the guy next to me, who I know, I've met several times, I said I want to go. My wife is dying to see Taylor Swift. And I can't believe I'm admitting this to all the viewers.
Okay,
I'm laughing inside right now.
Listen, she's got good music. It's okay.
I bought Taylor Swift tickets for my wife in London because they were much, much lower in price than Indianapolis. And I'm not dying to go to Indianapolis, so I figured it's our 1-year anniversary. It was my birthday. Let's go to London. And then we went to Paris for just a couple days. But we saw Taylor Swift in London, and I got to admit, it was impressive.
It's on a hell of a show.
The ticket said she comes on at 6:45. She came on at 6:44. The drinks were inexpensive. The crowd was nice. The public transportation was great. She was over the moon. She was happy, grinning ear to ear the whole time, smiling, and it was great, So yeah, I went to London and went to Paris. London was fantastic. They speak English. I hate language barriers. We went to Paris, and the first day we went to Paris, we had this little like Clark Griswold looking mini car drive us around, the French version of it. And it was an architectural tour, whatever. I get to my head into architecture, whatever. It's just something to do. Frankly, the architecture was insane. I guess that France was taken over by the Nazis so fast, it was like a couple weeks or 4 or 5 weeks. Historians, you can correct me as you will. They took Paris, and Hitler wanted Paris so bad that they didn't even have to bomb it. So there's literally every single building that old buildings like 1000 AD style stuff, or maybe even later, are still standing. So they've got tons of old architecture that most of Europe would have if it weren't for the bombings and stuff. But the architecture was great, but the driver was such an asshole. He was like the quintessential French dickhead with a beret and a scarf, belittling you at every comment you could make. And at the end of the trip, I almost was like, you know what? You are such a fucking asshole. You made this trip actually more memorable than it was by being a dickhead. I didn't say that, but we laughed the rest of the trip, and we still joke about. I don't even know if his name was Pierre. I don't know what it was, but he was Pierre the prick. It was.
You should have You should have told him he owed you a thank, because if it wasn't for your relatives, his ass would be speaking German still.
I agree with you. I agree. And we saw the war rooms in London, the Winchester Churchill war rooms, and then just 2 days ago, I watched that movie, The Darkest Hour.
Crazy, right?
That's a damn good movie. Everyone should watch that. Rally around your country.
Yes, sir.
Victory is our only option. That's pretty inspiring. So I came into hot. I was like, boys, we're gonna kick some ass.
I did not realize that Churchill was so unpopular over there. Before, whenever he became the prime minister,
Chamberlain was just terrible, and that's what helped him.
Well, and there was if I remember it, because it's been a while since I've seen the movie, but like there was a big movement inside the government to kind of get Churchill out of the way.
He was kind of like
Churchill was not their number one guy. They kind of got stuck with him.
He was kind of like a Donald Trump guy. He was so successful that they had to stick with him, even though they hated him. I mean, they absolutely hated his ass.
And the king did not like him either.
No, because he stood up to the king. Did you? Now this has nothing to do with Churchill. Did you go to Harrods store? That's one thing I would like to do if I go to London ever.
I avoided the department store at all costs.
Well, I'm that way. I'm that way anywhere else, but that is one store I would like to go to. It's kind of like going to Pike's Market or Quincy Market in Boston, just because it's the local thing. I would like to see it, just because it's such an iconic store. But I want to go to Scotland and Ireland. Is going to be my next big trip. I don't care about going to England much. I would love to go to Normandy. But that's the only place I want to go to in France. I don't give two craps about seeing. I would like to see the Eiffel Tower. I'm not going to lie. The Louvre. There's a lot of things that would be interesting. I just don't want to deal with a bunch of French fuckers.
Pierre the prick.
Yeah, and that's every one of them I've ever known from over there's the same freaking way.
So was he just like a cab driver that y'all got unlucky enough to sit in his car, or was he doing tours?
It was a thing I arranged trying to be romantic. It was a vintage open air car tour for 2 hours. That was it. It was like 2 hours of torture. Really.
And he just belittled you for 2 hours at every
whole day. Yeah. I'm like, I heard Notre Dame burned down from a cigarette. He's like, it's not a cigarette. It was from electrical fire. Who told you that? Like, and I'm like, okay, fine.
Sorry.
It was like, does it really matter? On and on. It was the same way to my wife.
Boy, you're a lot nicer guy than I have, because that little son of a bitch, I'd have slapped that fucking beret off his deal and went to jail. I couldn't put up. I can't put up with that shit.
We stopped at a convenience store, and we got water and a candy bar or something, But my wife had him stop, and I looked at her and I said, "Do you want to just bolt?
Yeah,
let's run. Like, this guy will never find us. Let's bolt." She's like, "Oh no, we can't do that."
See, I wouldn't bolt. I would have to tell him why I'm leaving, because
you're a fucking prick.
I would be a lot better off to just walk off, but I would go back and say, "Listen here, you little dickhead, we're leaving."
Well, I got his number, Jeff. Whenever you go, I want you to go.
We will film this.
I want to. This is like his shark statement. I want to really see this.
I promise you that I would say something to him. I would, and when I know I'm right is when my wife is on my side. Because 90% of the time she's not on my side. I can't believe you said that, blah, blah. But when I know she's right there with me, I know that guy was really a dick then. Then I'm telling her to settle down a little bit, because it usually flips over to where I'm having to settle her down. But
my mom gets embarrassing when she gets going. It takes a while to get her to that point, but when she's there, it's like, okay, you've made your point. Let's fucking drop it, because it will go on for hours.
Yeah, she don't know how to drop it.
Mm-hmm.
Just
my dad's got more free meals, I think, than anyone I know. Whether I'm proud of that or not, I don't
That's
know.
always so awkward for the people sitting at the table.
I did that to Andy and them last February.
He did. Jeff
I didn't ask for a free meal.
You did not, but it was awkward.
I was at my favorite place, Texas Roadhouse. Terrible service for about the 100th time in a row. I won't ever go to them places ever again in my life. And we got up and the food wasn't coming. I said, let's go. Then I felt bad because my youngest grandson, he wanted a steak, and he started crying because he wanted his steak. He didn't care what they were doing to us.
Yeah, so we ended up having burgers.
I went to that either Texas Roadhouse. Where do you eat the peanuts?
Texas Roadhouse.
So my grandpa, when he was alive, we went there one day, and I was a little. It was like, I don't know what I was thinking, but it was one of the dumbest things I've ever done in my life. I was at school, and these kids, or my buddies, at school, unscrewed the salt shaker lid, right? Oh, pours out. And I was thinking my sister or my cousin or someone was going to grab this salt shaker. So I unscrewed the lid, and I looked away, and holy shit, my grandpa had the salt shaker. And that big steak he just ordered, and he was so pumped to bite into that thing, and the salt shaker, boom, covered it. And he knew it. He knew it was me, and he looked at me, and he didn't say a word, and he shook his head. My grandpa put it on his hand. It's like, we'll get you a new steak, just don't kill him. That was pretty stupid.
Yeah.
Not for that dickhead deal, and I apologize.
I hadn't seen nobody do that in a long time.
No,
that's a story.
I haven't seen that in a while, but yeah, that was very popular back in the day. I saw that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce have spent $100,000 per day that they have been together. Per day.
On what?
Her flying that jet back and forth. I saw that too. I think they've spent $27 million.
$27 million since they have started dating each other in 2 years or something like that. They said they spend per day more than what the average American makes in a year.
She makes $3 million
$100,000 a year.
She makes
$100,000 a day.
She makes $3.5 million a day. So
right. I mean,
it's not that big a deal.
No,
I mean that's relevant.
More power to them, but if her political view is of the green essence or the non-pollutant, and that's what you're doing, then it's very hypocritical, contradictory, whatever you want to call it. But I was in the stadium, and there were 89,000 people in Wembley Stadium, I think is what it's called, and there were 3 shows, 3 nights in a row, and every single seat was sold out and packed. And everyone in that place knew every word to every one of her songs. I've never seen anything like this. So I believe $3-something million a day. And so yeah, that's crazy. Travis Kelce was there. He was 6 feet behind me, and hey, Travis, what's up? We looked over and held up his beer and nodded, and that was it. That was my claim to fame with Taylor Swift and the gang.
So he was right there by y'all.
He was right behind us. He was.
Cody had them good seats.
We were on the standing room on the floor, and then there was a private box on the floor, and he was in there. And then, my wife took a picture of Travis Kelce, and she sent it to her girlfriends, and they're like, "Oh, that's so and so from this show, and that's so and so from this series." And Blair's like, I was just trying to show you Travis, but I guess it was a star-studded box, and we didn't even recognize anything.
We saw her in Houston, Texas. She played the Houston Stock Show and Rodeo.
She smiled at me.
She passed us.
I was almost Mr. Swift.
We were sitting on the curb waiting for Michelle and them to come out of the Houston the rodeo, and she come by and she was playing that night and was doing her sound check and drove right by us, and they stopped right in front of us, and she reached over to Andy and smiled.
Tried to grab my hand, but I had that old ball and chain that I had in carrying her around. And
I'd have tackled Jesse's ass if you could have married Taylor, and we could have got some of that cash.
Almost
Andy.
got in that black van with her and just became Travis Kelce.
Yep.
Glad I didn't. She would have wrote a song about me, and that'd be my claim to fame, is having a Taylor Swift song about me for her dumping me.
We'd have a song though. We'd have a cool song about a guy that hosts a podcast, shoots geese. Here, we wouldn't have this Bye-bye London crybaby stuff.
That's right. Be with an alpha. So, tell me, you got it. You're teasing your full bodies. We've been seeing a little bit of those.
Yep. So, Canada Honker full bodies. So 4 positions there. The motion system on our Snow Goose decoys, if you've seen it, is awesome. Same concept or theory design is going to be transferred over to that. So 4 positions of full body Canada geese. And then we've got a sleeper shell, which is pretty sweet. I'm pretty excited about that. So edges ice, frozen fields, wherever you want to run them. The stackable sleeper shell, which is cool. And then myriad of additional duck floaters. And then we've got the full body juvie and blue in addition to the snow this year. We will have it, and then the same goes for floaters. So juvie and a blue floater. And I could keep going about different products that are coming out. But the biggest marketing side is growing, operations side is growing, but equally the product development side here is growing. So we've got several engineers here working away with CAD and 3D printers, and then we've got a full-time new technical designer who does all of our waders and bibs, coats, all the technical garments that are designed and spec'd. When I say spec'd, I mean specified from the bottom up, from material with a membrane in the material, the interior, exterior of the tape, the zipper, the size of the zipper, the style of coil in the zipper, the Velcro, who makes the Velcro, on and on and on. So it's really high-end stuff. I don't think we do as good of a job as we should as detailing how much time actually goes into the products that we make here. And I'd like to see that. I'd like to get some more behind-the-scenes looks at how much effort goes into this product development side. Because you get all these things, the internet's filled with haters. And it's like, I don't know how, it's so crazy. You get 5 guys that want to just spoil a great thread, and it's anymore, we just don't deal with it. But people say, oh, you knocked this off, you copied this is whatever it is. And that's been like that for 14 years, right? And people just don't realize how much time goes into this. Time, energy, money, everything goes into this new product development side. So we've got a lot of new stuff coming out. Check the socials, follow us, get in the Facebook forum. A lot of stuff comes on there before anything, and take a look-see.
Well, I mean, there's only so many ways that you can carve a fucking goose or a duck decoy. I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is. I mean, you can't take a widgeon and do something just totally fucking crazy and make it not look like a widgeon anymore because you're afraid of it might look like somebody else's carving that was a widgeon.
Yeah, it's like people associate a good-looking carving. Oh, you copied so-and-so. You're, and it's like, why? Because our carving does look that good, but our price is less. I mean, biggest struggle here, one of the biggest struggle in the full body and floater world is finding a capable carver, and we've done it. We've got a guy out of Algonac, Michigan, who he and I have been friends for like going on 8-9 years now, and he carves, he's a world champion. And that's where our floaters come from. And they come from a drawing and then a hand carved piece of wood from Tupelo, and it's copied verbatim and mass produced. So it's our original design in conjunction with a carver. It's like, what? It's done from, the guy has a collection of photos and mounts, and it's done from the species. It's done from the bird. So if anything, the birds deserve credit, not anyone else. Birds in our carver, not, so.
Yeah, not a ripoff or whatever. I guess at SquadFest, we're going to see all the new full bodies and the full body Canadas and the sleepers and all that good stuff.
Should see. I don't know if the sleepers will be there, but you'll get a look at least one of the full body Canadas, and then assortment of, there's new blinds this year, there's new accessories, there's new apparel, there's new technical garments or like technical wear. Lots of new products that are on display. The product development team will be there. They'll probably be in the vicinity of the new products to go over the details and how and why things are the way they are. And lots of things for sale. Big discounts. We've got a big discount on our in-store, basically in-show purchases. Waders are heavily discounted. The technical garments are heavily discounted. I think everything we offer has a discount to some respect, just as a thank you and an encouragement for our hardcore customers who are there to come out and spend some time with us. And we save time and money when we don't have to fulfill and we don't have to ship. So it kind of works its way out.
Yeah. I mean, how many years has this full body been in development?
Oh gosh. It's been conversation with it's actually not the same gentleman who does the floaters. It's another gentleman out on the West Coast, but he and I have been negotiating and in talks about the carvings for 3 years. Finally got them at the beginning of this year, and then it's on to like the tooling piece. So we have to have something to make an impression of, and that's the original from the sculptor or carver, and then we create hard tooling or big steel tools You have to lift them with a crane, mount them in a machine, and then they extrude a hot plastic, and then they push air into the hot plastic, and the hot plastic expands and takes on the shape of the goose or negative of the goose. And that process is called blow molding, but it's several years.
Yeah.
Start to finish.
Yeah. That would be cool to see like a behind the scenes on that. Just the highs and lows and everything that you've had to go through.
Jordan Ellis, a guy one of the gentlemen on our media team, we went up and visited our carver, and there's YouTube. There's going to be a 2-part YouTube on the making of a floating decoy. So it's a shoveler. So we documented and questioned and walked. We're going to walk the viewers through the entire process of creating an original to become a dive bomb decoy. So it should be pretty cool.
That'll be really cool. I'm going to be that asshole real quick. Full body specs next. Cause I always hate that. You get a cool product and then like, well, are you going to do this?
Well, no, I don't hate that at all.
I do.
It's probably going to be mallards.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Probably going to be mallards, and then a spec. The difference between a spec and a snow is really not that great. There's some different feathered areas that are different. So there may be some assimilation that we use between our snow. There'll be totally different tooling. It'll be an individual piece, but I'm hopeful that we won't have this long drawn out process and starting from scratch on our specs. I think we might be able to modify the original snows and come up with a spec that is true to life, true to size, because they're kind of the same size, and they do share most of the same feather pattern. So we'll see. But next on the hit list is going to be mallards and then specs, whether or not it's a variation off of our snow. And again, it will be an original spec, or it might just be an original out of the gate spec. We'll see how it goes, but that's it. All right.
So what do? You have like a whiteboard of shit that you're just like checking off? Like, okay, got this. This is next.
Yeah. We used to do a whiteboard, but a whiteboard gives us exposure. I used to tour people around here all the time and kind of probably overexpose some of the things we're doing. And we used to leave the showroom door open into our new product development area. We had some kid come through and he like snuck in the product area and took a slow-mo video and posted on in a forum online, like, hey, here it is, if you guys want to know what they're working on. And it wasn't like hey, dive bomb fans, it was like trying to be detrimental to us. So now we are closed door policy. If it's a whiteboard, we typically don't write anything sensitive on it. We have shared drives, documents that are held digitally that we have hit lists for, and that's kind of how we operate. New product development team and I work together every day. We meet probably every 2 weeks to check on progress and new products and any ideas we may have. But yeah, there's a list, but it's held secret anymore.
Yeah. I don't blame you for that at all.
No,
that's crazy though. But not surprised.
Let somebody get a peek behind the curtain, and that's how you get treated.
Yeah, that's crazy. Crazy.
All right, my man. So listen, we've gone on over an hour now. Gates open at what you said, noon on Friday?
Noon on Friday, and I believe 8 or 9 on Saturday morning. But divebombindustries.com, the more drop down, click on SquadFest. All the information is there. There's pre-registration, skip the line, enter to win a $1,000 gift card. Come on out, see us, have some fun, cut it up with fellow waterfowlers.
It's going to be an awesome time. Can't wait.
We'll see you Friday, my friend. Yep. Can't wait to see you.
Yeah. Excited to see you guys.
Be safe. Have a good weekend, and listen, go for par today.
Thanks a lot. Thanks again for having me.
Have a good day, Cody.
See you soon, Cody. Bye.
The great Cody Stokes from Dive Bomb Industries SquadFest this weekend in St. Louis, Missouri. Come out and see us. We'll be at the Boss booth giving away the Hook and Gaff watch there. Got to go to our Instagram, and you can see all the details or our private Facebook page.
The way to enter that is, I'll outline it here. Follow Hook and Gaff on all their social media sites. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple. And then Thursday, we are going to have our season premiere of the First Family Waterfowl Season 3. Just leave a comment on there, Hook and Gaff, underneath that video. That will be on YouTube. And the way with that, so the scheduling for the First Family Waterfowl, we're going to do things a little bit different this year. Thursday, we're going to release the opening episode. And then the following Monday, which is like the 21st or something like that, we're going to release 3 episodes. And then I think 2 weeks after that, we're going to release 4 episodes. And then 2 weeks after that, we'll release the final 4. So kind of tinkering.
You can binge watch it then.
You can binge watch it. Yeah. So you're not waiting weekly. You can get it in 4 episode installments. Each episode's going to be like 15 minutes. So
the first episode's 25, right?
It's a long one because we've got some stuff in it. But I think the following episodes are all in that 15 to 12 to 18 minute mark range. So, you watch 4 episodes, you're an hour in. So, kind of instead of slowly releasing it 1 episode per week, I want to get into this kind of binge watching more this year. So we'll see how it works. But anyway, that's going to be the scheduling for us. Actually, I think it's Tuesday. It's not going to be Monday. So first episode Thursday, the day before SquadFest, and then the following Tuesday, you'll have 3 brand new episodes to watch. So head over to our YouTube channel, the Big Honker Podcast, and you can get subscribed to it, like it, subscribe it. That way you don't miss anything. And we appreciate everybody.
I like that format because that's one thing I look for when I find a show on Netflix.
Right.
I love to find something that's 2 or 3 seasons long.
Yeah.
I do not like, or I don't like the one like one of the shows I watch on Amazon Prime, King of Harlem. Every week they release a new one. So I'll wait 2 months and I'll watch 6 or 8 of them at a time.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a good idea. Look forward to seeing y'all. We still have some room left on the boss hunt. I do have some more November days left. And I have a group for opening weekend. I have a spot for a group of 6 to 8 guys opening weekend, which is lights out. I had a group that just canceled on me, I guess last night for opening weekend. So I do have a spot for opening weekend, which I think is November 2nd and 3rd. That sounds about right. So anyways, you come in on Friday night, have dinner the night of the 1st, and you hunt the 2nd and 3rd morning goose hunts. I can do pheasants also, do whatever. But anyways, holler at me if you've got a group of guys wanting to hunt some specs. November 2nd and 3rd are open. Thank y'all for listening to us. You have a great, great, great week. Be safe, and we hope to see you at SquadFest or Delta.
Love you. Bye. Go check out all of our great sponsors. Go check out MLR Graphics, Bosch Shot Shells, Pacific Calls, BHP25 is a promo code over there. Dive Bomb Industries, hope to see you at SquadFest this weekend. Dirty Duck Coffee, Shin Gear, Mitch Hall Chevrolet, Looking Glass Podcast, Lucky Duck, Ducks Unlimited, Mallard Bay, Double T British Kennels, Mossberg, Hemp Hill Farm, BHP, promo code there, Alpha Outdoor Specialties, and Stanfield Outfitters.